You didn't want a feel-good film, and you didn't get one. The Colts walked into Jacksonville with something to prove, and walked out with one of their best stories suddenly hanging by a thread. Daniel Jones, who'd been playing his best football since leaving New York, went down on a non-contact play, grabbed at his right lower leg after a plant, and never got back up. The Colts called it an Achilles tendon injury. Coach Shane Steichen's raw line afterward was, "It doesn't look good." That's the kind of sentence that makes front offices start making contingency plans in real time. Let's put the context around this because the noise matters. Jones was actually playing through a fractured fibula in his left leg, yes, the other leg, and still putting together the best season of his career, completing 67.9% of his passes for 253.4 yards per game, with 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions over 12 starts. The Colts at 8-5 were riding that performance into the heart of the playoff scramble. Now, they face the bitter math of quarterback fragility in the NFL and the cold choices that follow. Riley Leonard, the rookie 6th-round pick from Notre Dame, was yanked from his warm bench and thrust into a hostile environment with 2 NFL passes in his career. He finished 18 for 29 for 145 yards and an interception in a 36-19 loss. That stat line is fine for a first emergency turn, but it's not the kind of performance that makes opposing coordinators sleep at night, which is exactly what the Colts need from their QB position if they want to stay afloat in a crowded AFC. Here's the bite. Achilles injuries are not small. They are often season-defining. Non-contact Achilles ruptures are notoriously brutal for explosiveness, plant and cut mobility, and long-term timing. Until you see MRI results and a surgical plan, if there is one, the team's medical staff and front office have to play with worst-case scenarios. An Achilles repair can suddenly make a 2025 starter a 2026 question mark, and with the playoffs looming, question mark is the word you never want beside your quarterback's name. What does this do to the Colts' playoff picture? Short answer, it complicates everything. At 8-5, Indy is inside the wildcard picture, but the AFC is crowded and ruthless. Losing Jones, even for a few games, turns each remaining schedule item into a must-not-lose. The difference between Jones and Leonard, or any stopgap, is threefold: instant command of a pro offense, accuracy on timing throws, and the confidence to close games. Leonard showed heart, but the Colts now need to evaluate whether they can lean on him, rush to sign veteran help, or pivot their game plan to armor the rookie and buy time. There's also roster and cap reality to wrestle with. The Colts invested in Jones to be the stabilizer after drama and turnover in QB rooms past. If he's out long-term, Indy faces a cold decision tree. 1, keep faith with the rookie and hope for rapid seasoning. 2, trade for a veteran who can bridge the gap. Or 3, splurge in free agency if a reliable starter is available, all while balancing draft capital and the salary cap. None of those options are clean in December. Coaching adjustments are immediate and obvious. Expect more quick game concepts, more rollout and boot action simplified reads, and heavy emphasis on protecting the inexperienced passer. The Colts' run game and offensive line will need to shoulder extra weight while the passing game becomes more conservative. On defense, they'll need to generate more 3-and-outs and take some pressure off the offense's scoring responsibility. Every play call will inch toward minimizing turnover risk and maximizing short yardage success. Psychology matters here too. Jones's teammates looked shell-shocked after the play. You don't just lose a starter, you lose the room's emotional anchor. A clubhouse can either rally, next man up mentality, or drift into second guessing. How the coaches frame the next 48 hours will set the tone. Do they emphasize growth and opportunity for Leonard, or do they telegraph panic and patchwork fixes? Stabilize the message and you stabilize the roster. Flail, and the week grows toxic quickly. Then there's the league-wide ripple effect. The AFC standings will be watching. Opponents suddenly see an easier path, and the Colts go from being a dangerous matchup under Jones to a team that can be schemed against more aggressively. Home field calculations, seeding math, and trade market activity all pivot on the health of a single limb. That's brutal, but it's also exactly how the NFL works. Single plays change seasons. What do you watch for next? First, the official medical update, MRI results, surgical timeline, and whether the team expects a multi-week absence or season-ending surgery. Second, how the Colts approach the QB room. Does Leonard stay the starter next week? Do they bring in a veteran? Third, game plan shifts. Quicker reads, fewer deep shots, and more designed rushes. Finally, the emotional lens. How the locker room responds in pressers and in practice will be the barometer for whether Indy can hold together. Bottom line, the Colts lost more than a game in Jacksonville. They may have lost their 2025 anchor at the most critical point of the season. Daniel Jones' non-contact Achilles injury is the kind of development that rearranges plans, forces difficult roster decisions, and tests every institutional muscle the franchise has. For Riley Leonard, it's a baptism by fire. For Indianapolis, it's a crossroads. The next 72 hours will tell you whether this team can pivot or whether this was the critical turning point in a season that just got a lot more fragile. He plants his foot like he's done 1,000 times, and then it happens. No contact, no hit, just Daniel Jones dropping back, loading up, and collapsing like his body suddenly betrayed him. You could almost hear the stadium's breath get sucked out in one giant gasp. 1 second, the Colts were fighting to stay atop the AFC South. The next, their whole season was lying on the turf, clutching its lower leg. And here's the part that makes you wince even harder. Jones wasn't even playing on two good legs to begin with. The man has been battling through a fractured fibula in his left leg, basically limping through an 8-5 playoff push like nothing phases him. And then the other leg gives out. Right one. Achilles, the word that sends a chill down even the toughest locker rooms. It's the kind of injury you don't need a medical degree to understand. You hear Achilles, and you know it's bad before the MRI even spins up. When Shane Steichen walked into that post-game presser and said it doesn't look good, he didn't need to elaborate. Everyone in the room already felt it. You could see it on his face, that mix of frustration, fear, and trying to keep a poker face for a locker room that was just gutted. Because here's the twist no one expected this season. Daniel Jones was having his best year ever. After all the chaos, all the New York noise, all the memes, all the takes, the guy lands in Indy and suddenly looks reborn. Nearly 68% completions, over 250 yards a game, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks, a quarterback who finally looked comfortable, confident, finally playing free. Colts fans were like, yo, is this the version we were promised? And for 12 games, it absolutely was. And then, one step, one plant, one tendon. And here's the part people won't say out loud, but they're thinking, this doesn't just change the season. It changes the entire identity of this team. Because the moment Jones was helped off, the camera panned to Riley Leonard, a rookie, 6th-round pick, 2 NFL passes on his resume, and the kid suddenly had to walk into a 36-19 game against a division rival fighting for the top spot. Imagine that. You're basically still learning where the bathroom is in the facility, and now you're taking first-team reps against a Jaguars defense that smells blood. To his credit, Leonard didn't fold. 18 for 29, 145 through the air, 1 pick. It wasn't magic, but it wasn't meltdown football either. It was a rookie trying to survive a fire he didn't start. But you could see it. The offense didn't have the same confidence. The rhythm was gone. The spark disappeared. Meanwhile, Jacksonville, they took the opportunity like a gift-wrapped holiday present. 9-4 now, sitting on the AFC South throne, at least for the moment. And Indy? 8-5 suddenly feels a lot scarier than it did just hours before. This isn't the AFC where you can limp into January and hope for the best. This conference eats hesitation for breakfast. And here's the part that sticks with you after the game ends and the stadium lights go dark. Daniel Jones wasn't just playing well. He was changing his story. After 5 years of being doubted, booed, defended, critiqued, memed into oblivion, he finally found a place that fit. A coaching staff that believed in him, a system that let him breathe. He was proving people wrong in real time, and injuries don't care about redemption arcs. They don't care about fresh starts. They show up uninvited and rewrite the script. So what now? The Colts aren't out of the wild card race. Not yet. They've still got a shot, and sometimes teams rally around moments like this. But it's impossible not to feel the weight of it. The what if. The why now.